Hi everyone, Robin LaCroix here, dietitian and culinary nutrition educator. Here today with a pumpkin muffin recipe. This is one of my favorite muffin recipes and I'm excited to share it with you today. So let's get started. I'll start by mixing the wet ingredients here. So we have a half a cup of oil. I'm going to use canola oil today. You could use canola oil, avocado. You could use olive oil. It might make your muffins a little bit darker, but it works. So whatever oil you like to use in your house. And then to that, we need a third of a cup of buttermilk. I rarely buy or keep regular buttermilk in my house, and I just kind of make it when I need it for a recipe. So I have a third of a cup of milk here, and you just need to add about a teaspoon of lemon juice or a white vinegar, and that's going to make you some buttermilk. So I've got lemon juice. I'm just going to squeeze a teaspoon in here, and the acid will just curdle up the milk in a way that you would never want to drink, but will work perfectly for this recipe. So I'm just going to let that sit for a couple minutes to help the curdling process move along. If you don't have milk or don't have what you need to make buttermilk, you can use yogurt. So you could replace it with a third of a cup of yogurt. Okay, now we need 1 egg. And we need a half a cup of sugar. And we're going to put in 1 cup of canned pumpkin. So I'm just having canned pumpkin. You could puree your own pumpkin. You could also use a kind of winter squash puree as an alternative to this. I've tried it with sweet potato. The sweet potato is just kind of, I think the starch level is different enough that you notice a difference. So I would stick with pumpkin or winter squash for this. So 1 cup total here. Pumpkin's going to be a great fall flavor. It's going to give the muffins a really nice amount of moisture. And it's also packed with good nutrients too. Okay, our milk has buttermilked itself up a bit here. So we'll add that in. And that is our wet ingredients. I'll just get these mixed up. I love making muffins because it gives us then a great snack or breakfast to have on hand. I will often put them in the freezer, or some of them in the freezer, and it just makes it very convenient. All right, so our wet is complete, and let's mix up our dry ingredients. So to start, we need 1.5 cups of flour. I'm going to do a combination of whole wheat flour and white flour. I find that the texture works nicely there to give you some of that extra fiber, but maybe not make it too dense. So I like to do usually about half and half, but 3/4 of a cup can be a little tricky to measure. So we'll see here. And then using a butter knife can be a really helpful tool to make sure your flour is evenly measured. It's amazing sometimes how much we'll scrape off when it feels like you're right accurately at a cup. Okay, so now my other half a cup. Perfect. And whatever flour you like to use, if you have a gluten-free baking flour, or if you use oat flour, feel free to use the flours that you're comfortable using in your house. Most of them should work okay in here. The only one that's significantly different would be an almond flour. It's much more dense than a more traditional flour. So you might have to do a little more research on how to balance that one out. Okay, now we need a teaspoon of baking powder. And a half a teaspoon of salt. Oh, I forgot my salt. And the baking soda, which reminds me, my oven is preheated to 350 degrees. Okay, I'm also going to do a half a teaspoon of baking soda in here. and then half a teaspoon of salt. If you really watch your sodium, feel free to cut down to a quarter teaspoon there. All right, and so then we need a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. Pumpkin pie spice is a blend of spices. There's cinnamon, cloves, allspice, ginger, nutmeg. If you don't have pumpkin pie spice, you can buy it. If you don't have it on hand, you can kind of make it if you have other seasonings, or feel free if you just have cinnamon to just put some cinnamon in. That's going to be perfectly fine as well. All right, my teaspoon doesn't fit in here, so I'm using the half and just doubling up, and we're going to call that good. Okay, so there is our dry ingredients. Pretty simple recipe for the most part. It already smells delicious. Those spices are so vibrant and reminiscent of fall. All right, so then we'll mix our dry and wet ingredients. It's a great recipe to get your kids in the kitchen too. Baking like this is a great way for kids to get involved, practice measuring, stirring. Usually it will make more of a mess than having an adult do it, but it's part of the process, and it's how they learn as well. So feel free to see if they want to come on in the kitchen for this one. So just give that a stir until everything is combined and you're not seeing any more flour. Okay, and so you could stop here and put them in your muffins tray, or if you'd like some chocolate chips in your pumpkin muffins. I am offering these up to my daughter's soccer team today, and I know they'll appreciate some chocolate chips in here. So just fold those in. I put about a third of a cup. Okay, so we are ready to get these in the pan. I have a mini muffin tin pan here. You could use this, you could use regular muffin tins. It fills one pan quite accurately. So yeah, whatever size you like. I like these mini ones. I find they're a really nice kind of snack size, but go with whatever one you want. If it's gonna be more of a breakfast, you might wanna size up a little bit so you don't have to carry 3 with you. So I tend to kind of fill my muffin tins almost all the way up. I find that they'll definitely rise up, but they don't seem to come over the top. So as long as they're all fairly even. So my oven, I just heard it beep, it is ready. Now the mini muffins take about 15 minutes, and if you're doing regular size, usually it's about 22 to 24 minutes. Just keep a close eye on them. They definitely do dry out quickly if they get overcooked. So yeah, keep an eye on them, and just when you're checking them, kind of press down gently and they'll pop right back up if they're done. If they stay indented, they need a couple more minutes. All right, so in the oven these go. So I've just pulled the muffins out. They were in for 16 minutes. At 15, one of them was still depressing a little bit when I pressed down on it. So give it another minute, and now they are completely done. They really rose nicely. And so they look and smell delicious. So I would give them a couple minutes in the pan to just cool and set. And then you can take a butter knife and just kind of gently go around the edges. And usually they pop out pretty easily. And so there is the delicious pumpkin muffins. I hope that you give this recipe a try. It's a great recipe for fall. They're tasty, they're nutritious, they're filling, and a nice one to make and have around for you and your family.